All right, right into it. Top five rappers, go.
Okay. If we're going top five Chicago rappers, guys,
Oh wait, yeah, top five Chicago rappers. My bad. I gotta make sure I preface that. Go
yeah,
ahead.
we're doing top five Chicago rappers sans Kanye because we already talked about the fact that if you have if you take the first three or four Kanye projects and you put them up against every Chicago rapper, nobody can fuck with Kanye.
He's a no-brainer number one. So I would
Yeah,
just rather just take him out of the equation and just who else is on this list? Who you got?
literally. Okay, so my number one, actually, I'll go 5-1.
Yeah,
I'll go
yeah.
5-1. So I put Common at five. The reason I put Common at five is I don't know as many Common songs to be able to put him top three, but I know he's done a lot for the city. He is a good rapper. Seen him on a lot of guest verses too. Common had his good career, and movies too. But we just talking music right now, so we're just gonna talk about that. My number four, sorry, my phone closed. My number four was Lil Durk. This one was a little tougher. I didn't know if I should put Lil Durk here just because not as long of a career yet. But I don't feel like that really determines how good of a rapper you are, what you've done for the city, like how well your projects have done. I think Lil Durk, before he got locked up, was really on his way to be almost at that number one spot if he kept working and kept putting stuff out. But I put him at four. My number three was G Herbo. We call G Herbo Chicago Jay-Z. I really do feel like he is one of the best rappers one of the best rappers currently, and then one of probably the best rapper out of Chicago at this moment. I know there's all the new guys, Chucky, Baby Chief do it. I had to pull that one out of the back of my brain, but G Herbo is still up there for me, and he's still putting out good music. Oh yeah, and G Herbo's people in my line. My number two is Lupe Fiasco. Now, a lot of
Mm.
people forget about Lupe. I feel like Lupe is just technically one of the better rappers I've ever heard in my life. Kick Push is probably like a real. I feel like that's the one of those songs that just really sticks in my mind as far as like key moments in my life and things I've gone through and some of the topics of which Lupe Fiasco has talked about. I really like his music. I think he's up there. I think he's one of the better rappers from Chicago. So I put him at two. And then number one should be no surprise. If anybody has a different rating for number one, you're not from Chicago. You don't know what you're talking about. But Chief Keef is obviously my number one. I put Chief Keef at number one because he's literally done more for the city of Chicago than most rappers. Like I would put him right under Kanye as far as being the biggest face out of Chicago. He really put the drill scene on at the time because at the time we had artists like Lil Reese and Ludfo, and there were some other people who were doing really good at the time. But I feel like him coming out front facing, even dealing with all the legal stuff he was dealing with at the time, it really brought Chicago music back to the forefront. And personally, Chief Keef has been putting out really good projects lately. I would say since the project with I'm really bad with names, but like the project with him with all the army people on the front, that's where I'd say he really caught another like second wind. It's the one with Tuxedo
I'll
and
find the name.
yeah, and Picking Big Sean Up. Picking Big Sean Up is one of my favorite Chief Keef songs ever. If you ever heard that song, go listen to that
Pick,
song. But
picking Big Sean.
yeah, no, that is it's one of the best. It's one of the better Chief Keef verses to me. But overall, that's
It's called Phone M. It's
Phone
called
Phone.
Phone M.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember, but Phone was around when I feel like Chief Keef almost hit like a second win, second stride. He's been putting out a lot of good projects. Like his last project we talked about on here was really good. Even the one before that, there was one like right in the middle that he did with Mike Will made it, and that one has some good songs on it. It sounded like that one wasn't really finished. Sounded more like a mixtape, but that's my five: Common, Lil Durk, G Herbo, Lupe Fiasco, and then Chief Keef. Do you want me to put my honorable mentions, or are we just gonna?
Yeah, give me a couple honorable mentions.
Okay, so I just had Chance. It was hard for me to not put Juice over Dirk. I feel like people might get on my ass for that, but I just feel like Juice didn't have a long enough runway for him to be above any of the rappers I had in top five. No Name is another one. Saba and then Mick Jenkins were my only tops, but you
Okay.
can go.
Okay. We had similar lists, but we did have different names. I had two that didn't make it, but that were about to make it. Common and Juice World were my honorable mentions that just missed. At five, I had Chance the Rapper. I feel like Chance the Rapper is, I feel like it's safe to say he's the biggest rapper we've had since Chief Keef. But in sync at the same time in tandem because they overlapped in terms of their career. But I feel like what he's been able to do with the messaging that's impressive to me. I feel like even though it's a different message than what comes out of the rest of Chicago, I think he's just too impactful to overlook. So I had him at number five.
Mhm.
Now that I've heard you talk, I might switch my four and my three, but I'm gonna go on my original list.
Okay.
So four, I had Lupe. You know, all the reasons you named, very valid. And I feel like he doesn't get a lot of the respect that he deserves. And he spoke on a lot of that, like how Jordan everybody blackballed him essentially from the league, from us at the league, from the industry at a certain point. So, but you can't discount Kick Push and the first couple of albums. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Him getting the stamp by Jay Z, all that jazz. He's at number four for me. Number three, I had Lil Durk. You did say he hasn't had as long of a run, but I feel like he's been around for 10 years now. Literally 10 years.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So like he's had multiple runs. You know what I'm saying? He had the
Hmm.
first drill run and then he came back with another run. You know what I'm saying? And in terms of Chicago music right now, him and number two are really running it, in my opinion. Number two, I had G Herbo. Like you said, I think on this list, he's been the most consistent for the longest amount of time.
Hmm.
G Herbo's been doing this for almost for he's 28 now. He put out the Nicki stuff, the Nicki verse when he was 18. So he's definitely had a 10-year run. And I feel like he's been more consistent than Dirk throughout that time period. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
feel like Dirk may have had higher highs, but he's been more consistent. And he's my favorite rapper from Chicago. So there's that. And then number one, unanimous decision, Chief Keef. Not too much to say. Not too much to say. We wouldn't be having a drill scene without him. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-mm.
feel like that's enough. And then for Kanye to recognize that, you know, we'll mention Kanye, we'll big up Kanye here. For him to be bringing him in, put Jada on the song, you know what I'm saying? Bring Big Sean in, do that whole Good Friday thing, the whole good music thing.
Yeah.
It just elevated it to, that was a classic time period for Chicago. That was classic Chicago music. But that's my five. I also put three people on here that I thought were worth mentioning. Maybe not, they weren't gonna make my top five or top seven because Common and Juice WRLD were next for me. But I put Twista on here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. I
I
forgot
put
about
Lil
this.
Bibby. I put Lil Bibby on here because he had a rap career and then he also was managing Juice WRLD. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So Impact. So I throw him in there. And then who I thought when he came out, I thought he would have been on this list. Polo G.
Yeah, bro. That's a good one. That's funny. Polo G had that, like, he had a hard run. Like, he had two albums where it was like, oh no, he's next. Who is a G Herbo in them two albums?
Yes.
And then I was like, after that, it was the fall off. It was a drop, bro.
It was the it's so crazy too, because it's like I feel like the way he came out rapping, I thought he was gonna be better than G Herbo. I thought he was gonna be better than G Herbo. Personally, I think he rapped better than Lil Durk. I think he raps better than Lil Durk.
Okay.
But yeah, like his projects and his singles just I don't know what that first project, that's what it be, bro. I didn't even particularly like the second album as much as everybody else did. The first project for me is No Skips.
Yeah.
My bad at your party. I'm with that gang. Where we are. Yeah, I remember when that came out. I didn't know who Lil TJ was, but that's the only song I wrote there. Anyway, I feel like I feel like it was a good way to start, mainly because like on the last spot, I wanted to say like the negative perception that Chicago gets. And looking at like our top artists, like a Chief Keef, a G Herbo, a Lil Durk, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it got me to thinking, why do people have such a negative perception of the city based on just like media consumed? But then I got to thinking, everybody has like generalizations about places that they haven't been, about people that they never met, about cities they've never been to. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not
Hmm.
really that unrealistic for people to not understand a place, a city, a thing if they've never experienced it. And I feel like when the biggest thing or the biggest export out of the city is drill music and that's what they're hearing and you don't have a consistent like communication with people from these neighborhoods or from these areas, then you start to think of it as a bad place. Now, I'm not here to say that Chicago is like all like rainbows and fuzzies and all good and stuff like that, but I think like past looking at this being like, oh, Chicago's dangerous, it should be like they're speaking on the experience that they had in their communities or neighborhoods in Chicago. And they're still people. You know what I'm saying? If you go to the city, even if you're not in these neighborhoods, when you're downtown, when you're anywhere shopping or whatever, you're gonna be interacting with these people. You're gonna be running into a lot of these people. And most of the time it's gonna go without hiccup. You're not really gonna have an issue. You know what I'm saying? And I think it is a weird spot to be in when you're like known for this thing, but also have, like we said, I think Chicago's the best city in the country, personally. But yeah, it's a weird juxtaposition.
Yeah, I think outside of even just music, media, and like what we've heard from drill coming out of it, I feel like the perception of Chicago on the like the normal news is bad. Like you only hear about the killings and the shootings and the fact that we became an asylum city and we're bringing in a bunch of migrants and stuff like that. I feel like that's a lot of what you're hearing about Chicago instead of the jazz music, the house music that's came out of it, the different sports teams that we have. I think that's another reason. A lot of states and cities are banked off of the fact that they have a good team and that team is promoting their city out. Like I would even say what I'm thinking of right now is Oklahoma City. What's in Oklahoma
Yeah.
City? Nothing.
Yeah.
But the Thunder are there. And that's why people have been talking about it a little bit. And I think that's some of the bigger reason is what we're seeing on the news too. But I think for Chicago to be rated one of the top cities, not in the country, but in the world year after year, there's got to be something there outside of what you're hearing out of drill music and what you're hearing out of the news. Like, I think you're obviously going to get that top layer, and the average person who's never done more research is going to be like, oh yeah, that's what I think of Chicago. They're just thinking of Kenwood, thinking of Englewood, all that stuff. But it's like there's
Yeah.
more to the city. And I think one thing that showed me that was, and if anybody ever gets a chance to go to Chicago, please go. But the first thing I would do is go on a boat tour to Navy Pier. And the reason I say that is you can see how big Chicago is from the water. And I think I never took in myself how big the city was until I was on the water like that on my internship this summer. But it was that I think it's definitely that. Like it's the perception, like you said.
I want to take that tour. I haven't done that yet. But to build on top of this, so what I was just doing was looking for the G Herbo project, but
Mhm.
they're nowhere to be found. Right, both of them. There was two projects. He put out two projects on Friday. This is a good parlay. You know what I'm saying? Go to Chicago. But G Herbo put out two projects for 10 years of celebrating Welcome to Fazoland.
Hmm.
The project that, a couple niggas that's down around for almost on with it.
It's
You know what
about
I'm saying? That
time.
project, he put a 10-year out for that. And he put essentially, I want to say it was like 6 or 7 deluxe tracks on there. And then he also put out another separate project that was the greatest rapper alive or something like that. Now I'm not here. Wait, I put it in the greatest rapper alive, right? And greatest rapper alive, I listened to more than the bonus tracks on the 10-year anniversary. They were all samples from classic records, Mike Jones, Jeezy, Jay Z, Kanye West, and all I have to say, because I hope we somehow get the, even if they throw them on SoundCloud, I hope we get them back. All I had to say is to save Kanye's, it might be gone, but to save his Chicago card, you know what I'm saying? You need to go into the vault, every song and every sample you've ever done, send it to G Herbo's team right now. Send it to G Herbo's team right now. Went legit, fire. What was the other one? Oh, the one with Jeremiah on the last project. What was that? I'm finna pull it up. He has, and there was two of them on this project that he had. And then, dang, I'm trying to find this other one this one was really good. Give me a second. Survivor's Remorse. Oh, Flashbacks with Jeremiah. That was Flashing Lights. That song is one of the craziest Jericho songs I've ever heard. But
Mhm.
yeah, all I gotta say, Kanye, give him the samples, and we need to get the rest of these songs somewhere.
Yeah, I'm hoping we do. I didn't get to hear him because I was too slow to get to him. But what I was speaking on earlier, I definitely think G Herbo should tease trying to put this on Even Biz. We've been talking about some artists that have used Even Biz as a way of promoting their music recently, like La Russell, McJenkins. There's some other people who have put out new albums on there, but it's another way for you to sell your music as an artist. And I think I don't know what type of contract G Herbo has, what he's dealing with, but I think him doing that or an artist of his stature doing that would prompt a lot of other artists to go in that direction. I think there's a lot of money to be made from something like Even Biz. Every time the Russells talked about it and even showed his numbers, he's done really well, and he doesn't even have the fan base that G Herbo has right now. So I know that G Herbo would do well if that was something that he thought about, but definitely want to hear this
Yeah.
project soon.
Yeah, he would do really well. And I mean, both of those projects were released independently.
Okay.
I know when he does like the bigger projects, he's still working with Republic, which is Universal, but nobody knows the status of that at the moment, I would say. In terms of new music outside of that, there were 3 albums that I didn't get the chance to listen to this week, but I think you may have. So I want to know if you listen to any of these. If not, I think next week that would be good. So The Machine is coming, Odumodu Block. He put that
Uh,
out. Did you hear that?
yeah, I heard a little bit of it. I didn't listen to the full project though, so I don't
Okay.
know if you want me to
Next
speak
week.
on it. Yeah, that's
No,
fine.
next week. We got that next week. And then Black Sharif put out an album, Iron Boy. I started it. I didn't finish it, so I don't want to comment too much on it, but I'm assuming you didn't hear that one either.
Nope, I didn't even know he came out.
Um, and then DJ Matt Parissa, I'm a piano DJ. I know you probably didn't hear that one, but it was a collab album with, I don't know how you pronounce this, but it's the letter X and then Duppy, but it's one word. But he's on a lot of on my piano tracks I like, so I will get to this. But I did just want to throw that out there because there's a lot of people on here with familiar names, and so those 3 projects I think next week we'll definitely lead with. But did you have any other new music that you might have checked out this week that I might have missed?
I heard. I'm trying to remember what it's called before I talk about it. Oh, okay. So Shoreline Mafia had not been working together. Group from Cali. I'm probably gonna use one of the songs off this project for my sleeper, but they put out Back in Business, and I always loved how they sounded together. I feel like they had good chemistry, and to hear them working together again was pretty cool. West Coast sound, if y'all looking for that. But I feel like that's really all I listened to this weekend out of new stuff. I teased the pause. I teased the Odumodu Block album, but I didn't really get into it heavy. So
Yeah. Okay. I like this. Keep it short, succinct. Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I like that. It'll give it, and I like that we get time to listen to because 3 albums to me is a lot. To
yeah.
listen to 3 albums, that's a lot. And so hopefully by next week we don't have a ton of music this week, and we'll get to, oh my God, we'll get to those next week. But new music, what you got? What you got for us?
Okay, I'm going to take over because words are beating my co-host ass. But
Yes.
I will go with Hoochie. No, I'm just playing. That Sexy Red song was terrible, guys. I just want to let everybody know that. But my 2 songs for this week, I'm going to go Imaginary Players by Jay-Z. I hadn't heard this song in a while. I think I'd only heard it maybe once or twice, but I was driving a class this morning and it had me motivated for the day. I'm not going to lie. Like I was worried about new money and old money. But that one, and then I'll go
You got
Can't.
show though. Little though. Yeah, yeah. He dissed Mason that motherfucker. Yeah, that was
I didn't
hard.
even know that, bro.
Go ahead. I will go over it next week.
Okay, okay. So Imaginary Players, Jay-Z, and then Can't Be Creep Boy by Lil Yachty and V's. You want to hear something funny? They sampled I'm Ready by Cameron, and I like it better than J. Cole's use of the sample. And
For
that's
real?
just yeah, and that's just because I didn't really like the tease we got of the original song with J. Cole versus the actual song we got. Like when we
Yeah.
heard it on Instagram, heard it on whatever. Oh, sorry, my bad. When we heard it on Instagram, heard it on TikTok, I was like, oh, this is gonna be J. Cole's craziest verse ever. Like I was like, this is gonna be nuts. But then I feel
Yeah.
like I was just let down versus this one. I heard the sample and it was the opposite. Like I wasn't expecting much because it's Yachty and V's. I like Yachty and V's, but they're not like technically crazy rappers to where I hear them on a I'm Ready like sample. So this was cool to hear, but Can't Be Creep Boy by Lil Yachty and V's, and then Imaginary Players, Jay-Z. So
That Lil Yachty song, it was just a single, right? It wasn't an album.
yeah, it was just a single. Just a
Okay.
single.
I saw it. I don't know. Lil Yachty's one of those names when I see it, I just continue reading at this point. Probably not good. But I got 2 songs for you. In light of our Chicago episode, I'm going back to Humble Beats by G Herbo. So I like I got three for y'all because it's too many Chicago classics y'all need to hear. I like by G Herbo, Everything by G Herbo and Lil Uzi. I don't know if you know, you know. If you know, you know. That's when we thought. That's when we knew G Herbo was. He was like, oh, he
Mhm.
owned that Uzi on the track. I don't know if y'all remember. I don't know if y'all remember. And then Dying Breed by Polo G. Real
Dude.
niggas is a dying breed, but I'm still maintaining it. Nigga out the hood, out the game. Yeah. Shout out Chicago, man. You know what I'm saying? I miss the crib. I miss the crib. Any last words for the people? You know what I'm saying? That's what we got.
If you get a chance, hop on a flight, go get you some Garrett's, head to Navy Pier, maybe take a picture with the bean. This was our Chicago
Don't do that.
episode.
Don't do
Don't,
that.
yeah, don't
Don't
do
do that.
that.
Okay. Last thing on Chicago. Things you shouldn't do on your vacay there. Because I saw a video that was talking about what do people do what do tourists look forward to doing when they go to Amsterdam that they shouldn't? He was like, go to Anne Frank's house. Anne Frank isn't there. That's what somebody from Amsterdam said. So I'm gonna give you the list of things not to do in Chicago real quick. Don't go to the Bean.
Yep.
Don't go to O Block. That's not
Obviously.
it. Obviously, don't go to O Block. And then don't try the deep dish pizza.
Yeah,
Overrated.
no.
Overrated. That's my list.
Niggas from Chicago do not deep dish. Let me tell you that. That's fake. Also, don't go to a Bears or a Bulls game because we still suck. So don't do
We
those
still.
things.
I would, if you want to catch an NBA game
Yeah.
and you want to get it for cheap, go see the Bulls.
Yeah.
I went to. I mean, it's a nice outing to go to a sports event. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I went to a White Sox game for $5. Now we left halfway through because we were losing and
Yeah.
bad, and I don't like baseball. But it was something to do for $5.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, them tickets are still $5. So if anybody wants to go to a Sox game, we didn't win over 40 games last year. So
That's trash. That's trash. Shout out Chicago. You know what I'm saying? We'll be back next week. Next week, I'm finna be overseas. I'm finna be potting.
hey,
I'm finna be potted on another continent. Yeah, I could talk wherever.
that boy with the
Wherever.
man, with the man.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all next week, man.